Welcome to the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living podcast, where high-achieving, goal-oriented rebel women come to learn how to live a vibrant and fulfilling life without requiring alcohol to get through it. No labels, no judgments, no saying you'll never drink again. Just real proven methods to help you stop rebelling against yourself with alcohol so you can drink less and do more. I'm your host, Angela Mascenik. Let's dig in. Welcome to episode 293, How to Face and Overcome Your Biggest Fears. Well, hello. Welcome back to the podcast. My kids go back to school next week. How's everybody doing out there with college transitions, back to school, empty nesting? If you don't have kids, watching all of this go down. How are y'all feeling in this sort of transitional end of summer, early fall time? I'm feeling more settled. I am happy to be back at home and spending a lot of time with my kids before the summer officially wraps up. And I'm excited to see them take on another year. I have my oldest starting high school, my youngest starting middle school, and my middle starting his last year being a middle schooler. So we've gone back to school shopping. We have laid out our outfits. We are practicing how to get to and from school on our own. And everything is very, very exciting. And yeah, it's another transition, which we have a lot of those in this age group. So anyway, that's what's going on here. And yeah, just looking forward to that. And a little bit cooler weather. I was walking home from the gym today and the leaves were starting to fall off the trees as I was walking. I was like, oh, the weather is transitioning. One of my favorite seasons is fall, although I really love the summer. I love all the seasons, but fall is nice because it's not so hot and you get a color change, at least I do in North Carolina. And it's another sort of shift, right? Everything grows and shifts and changes every season. So it's a little reminder for me of like, what do I want to take on? What do I have any goals for this season? Do I want anything to change? We're supposed to evolve and change. And it's good to think about these things. We don't get in a sort of a stagnant rut of life. So today I want to talk about how to overcome and face your biggest fears. Fear is a feeling that we all get to experience as humans, and fear actually does help us sometimes, but fear also can get in the way. Most of the time it gets in the way versus helping us. So, we're animals and we have this intrinsic desire to stay alive, right? And so fear can be activated in a lot of different situations. If somebody pulls out in front of me when I'm driving, or, I'm driving the car and there's some sort of urgent thing that happens that I have to react to, I get scared, right? And I know I'm scared because it's like an immediate reaction. I can feel it in my skin, like underneath my skin. It feels like this fiery feeling. Like, hello, there's a big alert going on. My heart races. I might have a shortness of breath, right? That's like an immediate fear reaction. I might get that feeling on a scary carnival ride. I might get that feeling, if I'm hiking a big mountain and I'm going to look over the edge. I talked a lot about fear when I went to Alaska and I climbed the ice wall, the glacier, right? Like there was a lot of fear around that. And that can really stop you from doing something stupid, right? Or protect you from dying. And differentiating between fears that help you and fears that don't is really important, especially when you are trying to change something that you do on a regular basis. So any sort of personal behavior that you don't like and you want to change, understanding the fear that you have around change, if you are scared, is important. And overcoming those fears to go on and do something different is really, really important. Most of the times when I talk about stop over drinking, or if that's your goal, or even losing weight or building any sort of new personal routine or habit, fear is a big one. And fear, unfortunately, if you're not conscious of it and you don't recognize it, can stop you from making progress. So I'm going to walk you through an exercise, and I want you to be very present with me. If you are walking or driving, maybe you go back to this and listen to it when you have something to write with or something you can stop and close your eyes and really focus and pay attention to. Okay. So I want you to think about your own personal goals right now. So if you're listening to this podcast, I have to assume that you want to stop over drinking, and that's a goal that you're working on. Or maybe you're maintaining not drinking. Or maybe you're thinking about making a goal to stop over drinking. Okay? Either way, either one of those or all of those, it has to do with alcohol, right? So I want you to think about your biggest fear in overcoming that. What comes up when I ask you that question? Is it that you don't think you can do it? Is it that you think you're going to fail? Is it that you think your relationships will change? You'll lose your husband, your wife, your partner, your friends? That you will have no social life? Really close your eyes and ask yourself, what is my biggest fear of taking on or continuing with solving over drinking? Maybe it's, I'm not going to have any fun anymore. I'm scared that I'm not going to have any fun. I'm scared that I'm going to be boring. Okay, so just take note of that fear for yourself. All right, just take note of it. Now the exercise is going to go to, okay, let's pretend that that fear you have is coming true. Okay, so I want you to go to the place in your mind where that fear happens. Okay, so maybe the fear of failure is big for you. So I want you to go to the failure. Okay, say you joined Alive AF, or you hired me as your private coach, or you came on my retreat, or maybe you're doing some other program and you've been working at it and then you have a big failure. Okay, so a failure in this arena means that you drank more than you wanted to, or you binge drank, or you went through 30 days without drinking and then you ended up having drinks, you didn't follow your drink plan, something like that, right? Okay, so say you're in the failure right now. You ended up drinking, whatever that meant. And I want you to imagine how you feel in that moment. Okay, so think about how you would feel in the moment that you had the failure. You might feel disgust or shameful or sad or angry. What is it? Okay, you got it? Right? So now notice how you feel in your body. What does shame feel like in your body? What does sadness feel like in your body? What does it feel like for you to be in the feeling state of that failure? And just take a deep breath and breathe into that feeling where you notice it in your body. Is it a hollowness in your stomach? Is it a tightening in your chest? Is your skin feeling edgy or tight or fiery? Take a big deep breath and breathe into that feeling. Okay. Now, what else would happen with your biggest fear? Say your biggest fear is that you lose all of your friends. Okay. And maybe the fear is you see all of your friends getting together on social media and they didn't invite you because you don't drink. Right. So you're sitting there alone in your house, like this is your biggest fear, with no friends. But really, you probably do have some friends. They're just in this moment, it feels like your worst dream is coming true. How does that feel? Does it feel lonely? Do you feel like you're left out? What is it? Do the same exercise. Breathe into that feeling. Okay? Whatever your biggest fear is, do that exercise. Now think about what else is going on in that moment of your biggest fear. Maybe your biggest fear is that you and your husband or your partner break up. That's a big one for some people. Like a lot of people get married earlier and they drink together, and then one person changes their relationship with alcohol and the other person isn't on board with it and they keep drinking. That's a big fear. Okay? So let's just say you're in that moment of a relationship. Okay, and the biggest fear happens. You guys are getting a divorce. You are separating. Okay, notice how you feel in that moment. Okay? And so I just want you to recognize that this feeling that you've all identified is what you are scared of having. Okay, the fear that you have that these things might happen is holding you back from making decisions, having difficult conversations, moving forward with your goals. Okay, and the importance of playing it out, this is the tool called playing it out. We're playing out your biggest fear and we're understanding what that feels like when it happens and what's going on. So when I'm coaching somebody on this on a coaching one-on-one direct coaching call, I'm like, okay, so this has happened, then what? Okay, so then what for you? So you have these feelings when the biggest fear happens, then what? And then you might have to find a new place to live. You might have to sell your house. You might have to go make some new friends. You might have to try again if it's a drink, right? You might have to do an evaluation on what happened and you learn about yourself more, right? What next? Okay? So answer that question. What happens next in your fear? Okay? All right, so say you handle that, and then what? What else happens? So say you break up with your person, you get a new place to live, you're single for a while, then what? Do you start dating? Do you start having friends that are more in alignment with how you want to live? What happens? I want you to play it all the way out. Okay, so keep asking yourself, and then what? Okay, and then what? And I think that it's really important for your brain and your psyche to see that you will figure it out, right? We always figure things out. That's what's true about the human condition. We're problem solvers. And if you reflect back on your own life, you have figured everything out up until this point, right? Even the drinking stuff, you're still functioning. You're still working on it, right? You haven't died. Nothing, like you are figuring things out. You've figured out hard things in the past and you will continue to figure out what to do going forward. And a lot of times these are just the worst case scenario. A lot of times these things don't even happen, but we don't give ourselves the opportunity to see because we let the original fear of these things keep us in our current situation. And when you can face your fears, that's what we're doing right now. We're going through an exercise to face your biggest fears. We're playing it out. We're understanding what it feels like. We're understanding, okay, this is what I would do if this happened. This is what I could see happening in the worst case scenario. And then you tell yourself, and if that happens, I will figure it out, right? If that happens, I will figure it out. There's also another side that we could look at. Okay, so the biggest fear might happen. We don't know until we try, right? What's the other pathway that we could take? The other pathway, the other opposite side, is that it does work out, that your relationship does stay intact, that you don't fail, that you keep going, and you have better relationships, you have more friends, you have more fun. Your marriage, spouse, partners, relationship gets better. And a matter of fact, they stop drinking too. Okay, so I want you to be willing to look at that pathway as well. Okay, and then of course there's everything in between that you possibly can't even know at this point. But right now, that fear of the worst case scenario, if you go through this exercise, hopefully doesn't feel as scary. And you can see that there's also another path that might happen. And you get to choose in this moment with your fear, like recognizing I am scared of this outcome. Okay, I'm scared of this outcome and I'm going to interrupt my behavior in face of fear. In the face of fear, I'm going to decide to move forward anyway. That's when you override your primitive wiring as a human. Okay? This is when these kind of decisions about personal goals or stopping over drinking or breaking habits or anything like that, our fears really aren't that helpful for us. They're just getting in the way. And this is the really cool thing about having a human brain versus a regular animal brain, is that we can observe this and we can think things through. We can think about the future and we can decide to do something in spite of how we feel, right? Remember, fear is a feeling. And right now, if you recognize that there's a big fear that's holding you back, you can still decide to override that and take action anyway. Isn't that cool that we have that ability as a human? It's like the ability to have an urge to drink and not drink. Wow. It's kind of superhuman shit, right? I can have an urge to scream at my kids and not. I can have an urge to run away and not do that. I can be with my fears and not have them hold me back and choose to take action today towards the goals that I have, right? So I want you to practice this. Whenever you feel scared, I want you to recognize I am feeling scared. Okay, that's the first step, is awareness. Recognize it. Okay, next step. What is the fear that I'm having? What does it look like? Let's get real detailed and specific around it. Maybe you write it out in your journal. Okay, you look at it and you play with it. And you say, okay, and then what? So let's say that happens, then what will I do? How will I feel? And then what will I do? And then you let yourself kind of diffuse it, right? You're dismantling the fear when you play it out and let yourself look at it, instead of just being like, I'm scared I'm gonna lose all my friends. And then just that fear is just there. You're gonna go in and you're gonna play with the fear. Okay? So when you learn how to do this on a regular basis, you actually start doing more things, right? You overcome your fears and then you start getting closer to the way that you actually want to live. Maybe your biggest fear is having a difficult conversation with somebody. It has nothing to do with alcohol. You need to have a difficult conversation with somebody, right? What does that look like? What's the biggest fear that you have around it that's stopping you from saying it? Maybe you're scared of fumbling through your words and you're not sure how to be clear and concise, okay? Maybe you're scared you're going to start crying. Maybe you're scared that they're going to yell at you or they're going to come back with all their bullshit, okay? Name the fear. Go to that time in your mind that might happen and play it out, and then decide, and then what? And then what? Okay? And help yourself see that you can overcome it, right? You'll decide in those moments what you will do. And it becomes less scary because we've already played with it in our mind, okay? And your brain likes familiarity. It likes to know how things will operate and what will happen. So give it that opportunity to really play it through and you'll become less scared. And then you can decide, do I want to take action? Do I want to interrupt this fear that I have and do it anyway? Or do I want to stay in the fear? Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes you might have to stay with it for a while, okay? But keep coming back to this. And then eventually, sometimes you get to the point of like, I'm always going to be scared about this thing. It's always going to be there. And now's the time I'm ready to move past it, right? You might just get sick of it and be like, listen, there's nothing I'm going to do that's going to change how I feel about this. It's something that's always going to be scary. Do I want to just override that and do it anyway? Or am I going to let this stop me anymore? And you might just say, I'm not going to let this stop me anymore. And you go in with a shaky voice. Or you go to that party and you get on the loudspeaker and be like, I'm not drinking anymore. Whatever the thing is, right? So those are the choices that you have when you have your fears, how to overcome them, how to be with them. Tell yourself the other possible scenario that might not be the worst case outcome and move forward. All right, my friends, I hope that you find this helpful. Also, you need to sign up for Cancun. The deadline is approaching. So there's 4 more spots available. If you are scared of that, do this exercise about it, because I think everybody that went on that retreat will tell you that they're so glad that they came. The people have gone on to work with me at a deeper level. They have given up alcohol, significantly cut back, improved their relationships, got engaged, bought houses. They are moving past their fears, but they had to get over that first hump of making that investment, showing up for themselves, doing the work, meeting in person in Cancun, having a wonderful time. But I understand that can be scary. And if you want to talk to me about it, if you go to the site where the Cancun deposit is, and I'll link that up in the show notes. There's a link that you can fill out an application, no obligation application, for us to have a phone call. All right. So I want to help you understand what's going on with you and if this is a good fit for you or not. So fill that application out if you want to talk to me before you put your deposit down. All right, my friends, have a beautiful week and we'll talk to you soon. I want you to check out angelamascenik.com/aliveaf. You know what it's like to have a desire to cut back on your drinking, right? You start to read books, listen to podcasts, try things, but you might not be able to yet put all the pieces and suggestions together in a way that actually makes sense and works for you. You might struggle with beating yourself up after an overdrink. You might get frustrated with yourself when you take 2 steps forward and then another 2 steps back, and get overwhelmed with what's right and wrong about your relationship with alcohol. Your friends tell you that you should be able to have just 1 drink, and it isn't a big deal. You might be white-knuckling through urges and resisting instead of peacefully processing them. And you might struggle with your identity as someone who has enjoyed having a lot of wine or alcohol in your life. It's around you all the time. It's what you do and who you are. Well, after 5 years of successfully coaching hundreds of women through these struggles, I have created the Alive AF membership, where women like you can learn the basics on what it takes to cut back and reach your goals with alcohol, whether it is to just drink less or totally quit. And when you join, you will get the exact framework I used to change my own relationship with alcohol and still use today, that has led me to be alcohol-free for over 5 years. You're going to get access to my resources, videos, and worksheets that have been proven to change and reduce how much you drink. Every day you can ask questions, share your obstacles, and get coaching and direct support on the challenges you will face with love and no judgment. Also, you will get immediate access to workshops like uncovering your alcohol identity and changing it, how to say no to things that don't support your new identity or life or goals, aka boundaries, a workshop called Creating Emotional Agency, and another one, How to Manage Your Mind to Succeed at Your Goals, and more. Every month we have a brand new workshop. These workshops are filled with step-by-step prompts and instruction to help you create the exact relationship with alcohol that is best for you. My mission and vision for Alive AF is to be a hub of support and resources for women to come and learn how to do what is best for them and becoming more alive in the process. When you join, you're going to learn how to take care of yourself better, how to feel good and become more alive and go after the life that you really want. I want this membership to be affordable and an easy solution where you can get all the help you need in one simple place whenever you need it. So no need to go read another book, find a new podcast, attend a free webinar, or go down the path of piecemealing it all together. Join Alive AF and have it all there in one place for you anytime you need it. So go to angelamascenik.com/AliveAF, and enrollment is open right now. See you inside.